guys? My name's Kaya, yoga instructor here. Today we're talking yoga for stress relief. So, if that sounds like something you need, then this video is for you. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna get this loaded up here. So, we're gonna be talking about 5 yoga poses that we can do for stress relief. So, I don't know anyone that doesn't have stress. So, if you don't have stress, that's awesome. So we tend to kind of hold our stress a lot of the times in our hips and our shoulders. So what we're going to do today is focus on those areas. So a lot of the time when we physically release tension in those areas, we also get an emotional release as well. So, yeah, some stuff might come up while we're going through these pretty intense postures, but that's why we're doing them. Okay, we're going to get started now. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is breathing, because I think that you're not really doing yoga if you're not centering it on your breath. So our breath is an amazing, easy way to come back to the present moment, to come back to your body, to just be here now, right? Because our breath is happening now. So to be able to connect in with that sensation. And it also is really amazing at calming down our nervous system when we take deep, full breaths. What I want to talk about just before we start is breathing into our low belly. So a lot of the time, whether we realize it or not, we breathe into our chest, and it's short and shallow breaths, and it's not a very relaxing way. So what we're going to do as we go through these is we're going to think about drawing our breath into our low belly. So your belly is going to expand. So we're not thinking about how we look while we do this. We're letting our bellies come out as far as we want. And then the breath can come up into the rib cage and into the chest, filling up totally your lungs. And then exhale, letting everything go. So it's probably going to take some practice to get that breath coming into the low belly. A nice way to do it's on your back, having your hand on your belly, just letting your hand rise up and down, kind of like a balloon towards the ceiling. So that's what I want you to focus on as we go through this. I'll definitely cue breath a lot. Sometimes I feel like that's kind of my job. I'm a yoga instructor, is just reminding people to breathe, because I really think it's that important. So the first thing we're going to do is a cat-cow. So a cat-cow, this is a really great way to start getting your movement connected with your breath, because the breath really guides the movement in this. So we're coming onto all fours. Our hips are over our knees. Always put something under your knees, extra cushion if you need it. Shoulders over the wrists, so not locking the elbows. So for a cat-cow, on our inhale, we lift the tailbone, chest comes forward, and we drop the belly down. Deep breath into your belly. And then as you exhale, you round away from the ground, pull your core in. Good. So the inhale brings you forward. Exhale brings you away. So taking your time and using this first posture as a way to really tune into how your body's feeling today. It's going to be different every day. And we're reserving judgment here on what we find out about how we're feeling. We're just sitting with whatever comes up. So going through 5 to 10 rounds of breath with that one. Good. All right, so we're going to come into a child's pose next. So we're going to come into a child's pose. So a couple options here. The further apart the knees are, the more it's going to work into the hips. So tight hips, just bring the knees in a little bit. So your hips or knees may not allow you to be in this position. I know that with a lot of people I work with, the knees just aren't going to let this happen. So there's always that option to have something underneath you here, or to keep the hips lifted up more. So there's no reason that you can't have the hips up higher or have your sitting bones resting on something. So if child's pose isn't for you, that's okay. You don't have to do this one. But if you can get into some variation of it, supporting yourself in whatever way you need, it can be super beneficial. So I'm going to walk my hands forward, and then I'm going to rest my forehead down so I can get my forehead to the mat. But if you can't, just put your forehead up on a pillow or a block. We want to be able to let the back of the neck relax here. And then we can just take deep breaths, letting everything melt down towards the floor. So sometimes the tendency when we're stretching out one area, like for the hips in this example, that tension can travel other areas. So that's why we're really working to let everything relax here so that we don't just bring that tension from the hips into the neck. Good, and working towards 10 deep breaths. So just another option, if being on the knees like that and the hips isn't possible, another kind of way you can get a similar stretch in the hips is to do pulling the knee in on the back. So we're kind of getting that same compression into the abdominal area, which can help with digestion. And you just spend about 10 breaths on each side and switch. Good. All right. Let me know if you try them. Let me know what you think of them. Next time we're going to do pigeon or figure four. I'm going to go through pigeon first, and then on my other side, I'll do figure four. So pigeon's a tough one, I think, for everyone, and definitely not a place everyone can get if you've got knee stuff or hip stuff. So I'm going to show it first, and then I'll give you some more options after. For pigeon, one knee comes underneath the elbow, the other leg extends straight back. So right away here, if there's pain in the knee joint, then probably stick with the figure four option I'll give you guys after. If you're okay here, we're pulling this front hip back a little bit so that our hips are square. And then, so I've got pretty tight hips. I can't get my hip down to the ground. I'll often, if I'm in a yoga class, I'll put a block underneath my hip, keeping that top of the foot on the floor. Staying here, or to make this a little bit more relaxing, walking forwards, and then supporting the forehead somehow. So again, coming back to that deep breath here. You can let the eyes close if you'd like. Good. So just giving yourself this time to relax. Each time you exhale, just letting something go. So maybe on your exhales, letting go of a thought, like a recurring looping thought that's just not helpful. Or maybe it's letting go of a physical tension in the body. And then slowly transitioning to the other side. So for figure four, coming onto my back, crossing one ankle under the knee. And I'm going to flex my toes back towards my knee to support around the knee joint. From here, this might be enough for you. You can press the leg away. If you need to deepen it, grabbing the back of the thigh, pulling the thigh in and pressing this leg away. And come back to that breath. So this is a nice way to do it, taking a lot of that tension off of the joints here because we're on our backs, and you get to control how intense you make this. So there's no reason that you can't be out here or even lower down. If this is where you feel a stretch, then you can hang out down here. So we're finding out where we need to be in order to get a benefit here. Now hips can get pretty intense, so challenging you to stick with that breath as best as you can. As long as you can take deep breaths and there's no sharp pain. Sitting with whatever comes up, whatever feelings, sensations, thoughts, just letting them happen. Good. And you can gently let that go. Okay. So we're going to get into the shoulders now. So this one can be pretty intense. We're going to do eagle arms. If you've ever done eagle, you'll know that not everyone can get into it. So that's why there's going to be options. I definitely can't get my arms all the way around. Okay, so we're gonna come into eagle arms. So full eagle arms. I can't quite get there, but basically it's crossing the elbows and then twisting the arms so the palms come together. Now, this is pretty intense place to be. So grabbing shoulders or anywhere that you can along the arms is totally fine. So I'll show with the full eagle arms, but as long as you can get your arms wrapped around in some fashion that you're getting a stretch in the shoulders, you're exactly where you need to be. So I'm crossing one arm under. If you're coming into full eagle arms, hands come together. And then what we're going to do is we're going to try to work the elbows away from the body and up. So this is going to create a pretty intense stretch between the shoulder blades. And then we're just going to sit with that for 10 deep breaths. And let the eyes close if you'd like. Good. So the more that you can just sit with this sensation and breathe, the more benefit you'll get out of it after. So going for about 10 deep breaths, really working those elbows up and away. And then you can gently let the arms go. Sometimes it's nice to bring them overhead, give them a little stretch, and then we'll bring the opposite elbows to cross. So always the option to just grab on, give yourself a little hug, or maybe you're coming into the full arms. So this side feels totally different for me than the other one. That's usually how it goes. So finding that edge of sensation, so that point at which, it's getting uncomfortable, it's getting intense, but you can still take deep breaths and we don't have sharp burning pains or anything like that. And of course, if it's hard for you to sit like this, you can sit up on something or you can sit on a chair. Definitely don't need to be sitting on the floor for this. And again, goal is 10 deep breaths. That can be a lot, so we're working up towards that. Good. The last thing we're going to do is a spinal twist. So this can be really, really, really relaxing if you're supported properly. So we're going to come onto our backs. I'll show you a couple of variations. So we'll start kind of with a full spinal twist. So I'm going to have one leg extended, moving my hips over a little, and then I'm letting my knee cross. So arms can come out to the side, they can be bent. This knee does not need to come to the ground. A really nice thing to do is to put something under that knee so that it doesn't have to just hang there and you don't have to feel like you have to support it. It can just be grounded down into something. Then if you'd like, gaze can come opposite to the cross leg, but only if it feels okay in the neck. And then from here, we start to breathe deep into the belly. And then we let it go. So taking at least 10 breaths here. You can stay here longer if it's comfortable. Again, each exhale, just letting something go. Good. Okay. Coming back through center. So another option, if that was a little too much, is to keep both knees bent and let them fall over to one side. This may put a little bit less strain on the back. And again, gaze can come over. And deep breaths here. It's kind of nice to let the eyes close if it feels safe to do so. And then the more you just release into the posture, letting gravity pull you down, supported by the floor, the more you'll get out of it. Good. So when you're ready, you can slowly come back to center. Take a second here. You can always go into Shavasana, which is resting pose, and hang out here with your breath. And then when you're ready, bring all the way back up. And hopefully feeling a little bit more relaxed. Okay, Well, I hope that you guys have a calm, happy rest of your day. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.